Hello everyone, and welcome back to Best in Class Episode 3. I'm James McCracken, the main host, the most important host of the series here, and with my faithful minion, Eddie the Ferret Hodge, we're going to determine today which of the 30-ton weight class is the best via our incredibly cutting-edge scientific evaluation methods. Today, we have a truly incredible number of machines to test, so without further ado, let's get to the introductions. The Arctic Cheetah. Designed to replace the Mistlinks by Clan Ice Hellion, the Arctic Cheetah is a nimble, well-equipped scout that earned itself the curious nickname of Hankyu, or Short Bow. Clan Smoke Jaguar liked it so much, they took it for themselves, because designing their own mech is hard, presumably. The Incubus. Built by the clans for the stupid purpose of dueling, the Incubus is a second-line battle mech the clans don't even like using on their own front lines. This fast-moving light can pack a solid punch though, and quickly reposition itself afterwards. A bit like me in a boxing match. The Javelin. A classic hit-and-runner from the 2750s, the Javelin gained a reputation for appearing out of thin air to strike their prey, before quickly disappearing back into cover. Reminds me of Eddie when the buffet table opens. The Kit Fox. It might sound cute, but it packs an incredible amount of firepower for its weight. Intended to complement faster-moving clan pilots with their supporting firepower, the Kit Fox is a nightmare for many an Innisphere pilot during the invasion period. The Osiris. Intended to mimic the capabilities of the clan's Viper, the Osiris largely succeeded in its goal of being an offensive hit-and-run platform. Much like myself in the simulators on Solaris. It might lack armour, but speed makes up for this shortfall, with a nice sprinkling of jump jets for manoeuvrability. The Spider, built in 2650 as a light that could work as a special operations machine that matched the Locust's speed and outjumped even the venerable Wasp and Stinger, the Spider is one of the premier scout mechs of the Innisphere. Relatively lightly armed by today's standards, you'd be hard-pressed though to find a better infiltrator in the 30-ton range. The Urban Mech. Ridiculous rubbish, designed by clearly stupid people who thought they were making something useful. Eddie has his money on it in the winning pool. The poor, poor fool. And with that, it's over to our first event. It's going to be the drag race.
Hey, I heard that voiceover.
Eddie, finally arriving for work.
I was here from the beginning. That's how I heard that voiceover.
Well, as usual, you've gone and picked Captain Slow, and you expect him to win the drag race.
Hey, how come I never win any of these drag races?
I don't know.
It's rigged, that's how.
You're just terrible at choosing. I'm always on for picking a winner.
Come on, Herbie.
Yes, well, here we go. This is it. Here's the drag race. There's our competitors lined up, and there they go.
Come on, Herbie.
No.
Has he started?
It's so far behind.
Did he break down?
I'm not sure if the footage is broken. No, the rest of them are moving.
No. Is it in slow motion?
No, that is exactly how fast it goes, Eddie. You know that the Urban Mech is a terrible design.
Who won? Was it the Herbie?
No, it was not the Herbie. The winners, as we got it in from the boffins, it was the Spider in first, the Incubus in second, the Arctic Cheetah in third, the Osiris in fourth.
What's this?
The Javelin and the Kit Fox have finished at fifth and sixth respectively.
God.
And here comes...
Come on!
The little mech that could.
Come on!
The Urban Mech. I don't know why you pick him, Eddie. You've got...
This is rigged. I always lose the drag race. This is rigged.
This is how fast the Urban Mech moves. You know this. I don't know why you thought it was going to win the drag race. It's terrible.
This is embarrassing. Is he there yet? Is it over?
No, he's not quite there yet. In fact, I'm not even sure he'll actually get over this little hump.
Oh,
a little bit of a jump jet. Even the cameraman's getting bored.
Oh, God.
He's willing him on to cross the finish line.
Come on.
The rest of the competitors there.
Are you sure he's got his foot down?
Pretty sure, Eddie. Pretty sure. I think he's across the line. There we go.
That was painful.
We go to our standings here, and there you go. That's the setup. And what do you think of that one, Eddie?
That was embarrassing.
Well, don't worry. We can always go over to the good old simulator battles. Maybe the Irby will make an improvement there.
Well, some people say he uses gravy for coolant and that his head turns 360 just like the Irby. I don't know about those things, but I do know we call him Critical Rocket.
And here we go. For editing purposes, we've stripped out some of the unnecessary guff that Rocket unfortunately gets involved in, running around aimlessly before he actually bothers to get into the fight.
Well, thank you very much for that, McCracken, because I'm not sure I could take much more of him.
Well, you better strap yourself in. We've got quite a few rounds here in the simulator. A whole 7, as
oh
you may have
boy.
guessed. And, well, Rocket's performance is not been great in the past. I'm not expecting this one to be that much of an improvement overall. With the Arctic Cheetah kicking off. A clan light that was developed, as I said earlier, by Ice Hellion and the Smoke Jag stole it, effectively, and used it themselves during the invasion. Do you have any particular view on the Arctic Cheetah there?
Well, she's fast, I guess. She can get in and out of trouble pretty quickly. This is the Prime version?
Yes, it's the
LRM5.
bog standard, yeah.
ER mediums?
ER mediums.
ER mediums.
A flamer and some ECM with a tag laser.
Never quite got flamers on clan mechs personally, but yeah, she's not a bad little mech. This is not exactly the best build that she could use, the Prime. I don't know why they chose this as the Prime loadout for the Cheetah, personally.
No, I have to agree there, Eddie. There are some much more improved versions of the Arctic Cheetah. The E, for example, uses a fair number of light machine guns and other backup weaponry, and a much more effective fighter there.
Yeah, I mean, the LRMs obviously allow her to give at least some support at range, and obviously that tag can be very helpful to some of their allies. And of course there's the ECM.
Yes, a fantastic support piece of equipment. Allows you to be very sneaky.
It does. But considering this mech's job is to get in there, to move around, to spot enemies, tag enemies, really, that ECM is there for his own protection and not for the protection of his teammates. He's not there to protect the unit, is he? He's there to protect himself. He's a bit of a selfish little bastard when you think about it.
Generally so. Does that cat get in here again?
I've no idea.
That's your animal, isn't it? That's your pet, isn't it, Eddie?
Let's just not talk about it.
Bring it in every day. Every day we come in for work. Anyway,
it's my little Arctic Cheetah.
Back on the subject of selfish little arse that he is. Yes, I would agree. He's not really using the ECM to protect the bigger, more powerful mechs within the team here, and the simulated pilots know it, and they do get particularly upset, I imagine, quite regularly with the advanced artificial intelligence that the simulators use. They really do mimic real, genuine pilots at times. It's frightening how far we've come along.
It is quite impressive how some of them will even go out of their way to weaken the team by running off on their own, as we'll see later on.
Yes, it does happen. It's incredible. Whoever put this together back in the glory days of the Star League clearly knew what they were doing.
Star League boffins were the best.
They were the best boffins, yes.
They were the best boffins.
And it seems to be a bit even for the teams at the moment. I'm not really sure how much Rocket's contributed here, but I mean,
very little, I would have to imagine.
I'd have to agree, which is a rare thing for me to agree with you there, Eddie, but I think that's the problem here, is that it may be a mix of his ineptitude combined with the Arctic Cheetah's inability to really hammer home good damage one-on-one with a target. It certainly needs to pick and choose. It needs to find enemies that are weakened and then basically try to steal the kill.
But then, with the Prime, what is his target? I mean, those two LRM5s are merely scratching the paint off the armour.
Yeah.
Those two medium lasers, I mean, they've got a bit of range on them, but to do what? I mean, she's not built for hunting other light mechs, that's clear. If she was a light mech hunter, she'd have streaks. And those, I mean, is she a heavy hunter to scratch at them in the back? But the weapons just don't seem to do enough damage. I'm really quite confused as to what the build for this mech, what its job is supposed to be on the battlefield, at least with the Prime variant.
It does struggle, it does, yes. It's not really something that I would personally pick, and I know in the past people have accused me of having a bias for picking those that are in the clan technology area, especially yourself, Eddie. You seem to think that I have a particular affinity for these just
well,
because
you go for them because they're shiny and they're new.
They have a lot of advanced
power.
technology, but I do have my soft spot for certain machines from the Inner Sphere. It's just on average, the clan technology is, by and large, superior offering.
Well, we're not seeing it here.
No, we're not seeing
and for
it.
once,
He's legged. Oh, it's not going well now. And he's exploded. And that's we'll be jumping to an edit, I believe. The editing boffin has worked it out. There's a quick score there, and we can have a look at the scoreboard as it shows.
The scores on the
10 points, 100 damage, and 100 match score. So not bad, not bad.
10 points. It's more than he deserves.
And now we come to my pick of the 30-ton series. We've got the Incubus, the INC-1. This is a ridiculous design in the respect that it was built for dueling, when purposely... Yes, it's something that the clans enjoy to do, apparently, on their garrison worlds and the such, their strange alien society. But personally for me, I think it's a fantastic frontline unit, and it's well equipped. Large pulse, 2 ER medium lasers, and a quartet of machine guns.
Quartet of machine guns, you say? Very nice, very nice. So this is a dueling mech.
Yes.
But it seems like it's pretty well built for taking on quite a number of different scaled opponents. I mean, that large pulse laser is going to strip through your armor pretty quick if you're not careful.
Oh, yes, yes.
Those machine guns make it a nasty little light hunter. And the 2 ER mediums, unlike our previous mech, actually make for a good backup for the large pulse.
Well, yes, and even a pilot as bad as Rocket can actually get somewhere with this one, because it's got that punch, it has the speed to quickly reposition, and it's also helped by the fact that its high-mounted ER mediums mean it doesn't have to expose too much of itself to take the shots. The only real drawback I find of the machine is that it doesn't have enough ammunition for the 4 machine guns, and it struggles with heat management. When it gets really into the fight, the pilot has to be careful to avoid shutdown because there's just not enough heat dissipation in there.
Well, even the clan heat sinks, as good as we know they are going to struggle with a set of weapons like these. I mean, large pulse laser is a very hot weapon.
Very hot, very heavy weapon also for a mech of such a low tonnage.
Yeah, and then take into account those 2 ER mediums are also not the coolest weapons.
No, the clans in the simulator, I don't know if they were intentionally damaged, because I've had the ability to read a few reports from the front and from captured machines over the years, and the suggestion is that the heat dissipation on the clan side was actually far better than what the simulator shows here. But that is the problem when we're using an older system that was developed centuries before the clans ever arrived. It just had to be kind of guessed and added in, and I think maybe, just maybe, the clans have been ever so slightly misrepresented here in the simulator, and not quite as effective as they actually were on the battlefields of the Inner Sphere back in the early 3050s.
Well, either way, this mech is obviously showing what skill Rocket has off.
Well, it's already up to 2 kills so far.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well.
It popped a king crab. And that's an annihilator.
Oh, well, yeah. Now his weapon. And there goes his leg. Yeah, he's pretty much done now.
He's ruined it. He's ruined it. The bloody idiot. He's gone and he's walked in front of an annihilator. That is not going to end well for him. What is he doing? Why isn't he getting out of the way? He's just wiggling backwards and forwards, and he's exploded.
It's over.
Bugger. And with that performance, the Incubus comes in with 200 damage, 200 match score, 2 kills, and a win.
Well, so what are the scores on the doors for that one? That must be good.
Comes to a grand total of 35 points there for the Incubus. It's going to be tough to beat. It's going to be tough to beat for sure. But here we are with the Javelin. Now, this is one of my favourites, as I mentioned before. I do have a soft spot for certain Inner Sphere designs, and the Javelin's definitely one of those. It may be under-equipped in some people's eyes with 2 SRM-6 launchers, but they pack a punch, and it's a mech that is perfect for hit-and-run tactics and sneak attacks, which is why the Javelin has remained in every successor state and periphery armed forces since its inception, really.
Well, it's easy to underestimate the Javelin. There's quite a few people who think out there that think that a mech like this, just relying on a certain weapon system, doesn't necessarily have what it takes to get the job done. But the truth of the matter is, if you are a decent pilot and you can get to the right position, this is a deadly little mech.
Oh, definitely. It's a machine that has long held a special place for me amongst my pantheon of top-performing machines. It's even in Rocket's hands, it can perform magic, I'm sure. If nothing else, if not him, the mech will be doing all the work here. It might not be the fastest in the world, but the term sneaky as a Javelin is used quite commonly by any who survived an encounter with one. And
well, those 2 SRM-6s, when put to good use, can be particularly deadly.
Oh yes.
And against mechs.
There we go.
Perfect example.
Just even for Rocket, it's an incredible.
Got himself stuck there.
He did.
Just to
He
make
did
up
get
for
himself
it.
stuck.
But yes, the truth of the matter is, against any mech in its own weight class, those 2 weapons, when used properly, can be absolutely devastating.
Yes, larger targets have trouble really countering the punch of this machine, especially as it strikes back and forth. An opportunist on the field for certain, in line with other lighter mechs even, like the Commando. The 2 machines working in tandem can create absolute havoc on the battlefield, especially in urban centres, dense forest or jungle, or really anywhere that allows a lot of natural terrain cover for a machine of this type.
Yeah, it's not unusual for the houses to place a couple of these in a suitable location, wait for the enemy to come wandering in and gullibly get themselves absolutely mashed. And even if the Javelin's firepower isn't quite enough to bring a mech down, it's certainly going to know it's been spoken to.
Oh yes, definitely. A machine that, as I said, has
What is this idiot doing?
This Madcap Mark II, it's just an example.
Well,
Overwhelmed and under supported, his machine just couldn't really stand up to the sheer firepower that was against him. The Javelin certainly applying a lot of damage there to that 95-ton.
I mean, look at this. He's just roaming the battlefield as if he's got no care in the world.
Choosing targets at random as he feels, dishing out punishment. Even this Black Lana trying to fend it off, he just can't do it. And even the Black Lana has to flee from this target. And he himself is also dead. Now the Javelin is performing incredibly well. I've got a feeling that it might match the Incubus score here, personally.
Well, I know that obviously detractors will obviously mention that the Javelin's real handicap is the fact that it only has, ammo-based weaponry. Once those weapons are gone, she's out. But the thing is the amount of damage she can do, and that's the end of the match. And look at her.
It's incredible.
She's still in great condition. I wish the one I'm building back home was in as good condition as this is.
Well,
still missing a leg.
Still missing the leg. You'll find it eventually, Eddie. Well, the damage of 400, a match score of 300, a kill, and a win 45 points. Incredible performance.
Incredible. It really is. And after the Javelin, we've got the Kit Fox. Tell us about the Kit Fox.
Well, some may think it's a bit cute in its name, not very intimidating. I mean, a baby fox. I mean, what's supposed to be frightening about this? But I think many pilots were quite shocked when they first encountered it. It's LB5, large laser, small pulse, and a single Streak 4 is a very deadly combination in a 30-ton light for certain.
Yeah, I mean, with a combination like that, that Streak is going to keep the fast-moving other lights away from you, because that's just going to tear through them no matter what they try.
Absolutely.
But then the LB and that large, I mean, now you're starting to worry, even some of your lighter heavies.
Oh, definitely. Any machine on the Innisphere side that encountered this thing in the 60-ton range, Dragons, quick draws, even things going up to Thunderbolts and the such, definitely had to keep an eye out for this little gremlin of the field, always moving around and striking you from unexpected angles and at different ranges as well. Again, it's one of those machines that has really stood the test of time and was quite synonymous with the Jade Falcon during the invasion.
Yeah, the Jade Falcons, as we know, one of those clans that seems to know how to use their tech and their mechs to the fullest. A terrifying thought when combined with a mech as brutal as the Kit Fox.
Yes, obviously over in the Inner Sphere it was known as the Ulla, and it's a well-earned name. I've always felt that it was a machine that definitely was overlooked later on when other machines became available. But yes, it was one of those 30-tonners that really piqued my interest, and I've been trying for a long time to get my hands possibly on a refurbished or even a damaged model just for the collection.
Yes. I mean, what is, by the way, I'm sorry, I've got to ask. What is going on? The AI seems to be all over the place here. What is the other team doing? They've placed themselves in a completely untenable position.
It's a classic issue here with the AI sometimes. I think the simulation is sometimes too good for its own good. And it creates scenarios like this, where the opposing artificial intelligence on Team Red decide to flank around in a very unrealistic manner, leaving the objective entirely unprotected, and just allowing themselves to be picked off one by one.
And yeah, this is just opening up opportunities here for Critical Rocket in the Kit Fox to just choose his targets and pump in damage. I mean, in and out, he can choose what he wants. He's in no real danger.
Yes, it's rather advantageous for Rocket here, who very rarely gets this kind of break.
Yeah, well, some pilots make these kinds of situations. Rocket just is lucky enough to have been in one. I mean, oh my god, he's just being chunks torn out of it.
Marauder 2 down. Direwolf over here, who seemed to have possibly been spinning on the spot before it decided to finally do something, and maybe the pathfinding was broken, but that one's now destroyed. More and more of their team are just dropping like flies.
And the Kit Fox has the speed to be able to get over to where the action is continuing and then stream that damage in. I mean, she really is a nasty little
It doesn't have to run too far either, because the large laser allows it to reach out and touch targets at a fair distance.
As you say, she really can reach out and touch somebody. And she can touch in that bad touch. The kind of touch that burns through armour, burns through myoma bundles, and burns through cockpit protection glass.
Indeed. And that's it. That's over. A 12-0 destruction there.
That was absolutely
a fair
brutal.
showing from the old
So
Kit
what's
Fox.
the scores on the doors for our Kit Fox after
well,
that?
it narrowly missed the 200 mark on damage at 199, but it did get 244 match score with a kill and a win, a respectable 25 points.
The Kit Fox there, ladies and gentlemen. Don't ignore her on the battlefield.
Indeed. And next up we have the Osiris, a later development by the Inner Sphere boffins, who created a mech that was heavily inspired by the Clan Viper, or Dragonfly. The idea was mainly to make something that was as fast as the Viper, and possibly be as capable in combat. Now, I'm not quite sure if they achieved the goal, but they certainly created a very fast, very manoeuvrable light machine here in the Osiris. Well equipped as well with ER medium lasers, a machine gun, and an SRM-6. It's certainly a good medium range and short range combatant.
Now, well, we're seeing already that it has no problem pumping out those medium lasers, and its heat dissipation seems pretty good considering its size. And also, I think, as you say, the range isn't bad. The machine gun can obviously be put to some good use against some of those fast movers. And the SRM just gives it that nice little punch that can make even a heavier mech think twice about just going toe-to-toe with her. And yeah, she is based obviously on clan design. She's an Inner Sphere mech, but I am well aware, as you said, that they were attempting to mimic their clan opposition here. But still, the Inner Sphere have done a pretty good job of trying to use what we've got to make something almost as good. Some might even say better. I don't know.
Well, that may be the case. Personally, for me, I'm not really sure I could really work or really sing the praises of the Osiris as much. Not that I think it's a terrible mech or that it's badly designed. I'm just not really sure why I would want to take this over several other designs that we have here in this episode of Best in Class. I don't know, it just doesn't stand out for me, personally, as a machine. We have other speedier vehicles. We just saw the Kit Fox perform marvellously, and the Javelin before that did fantastically with far less and a lower speed. I'm not really sure what it is that the Osiris is supposed to be selling me on. I don't know, Eddie. Is it a machine that you would add to your own personal collection back at home?
Well, as you know, I go for the classics, really, and you're right, the Osiris isn't really what I would call a classic. I'm not saying she's bad at her job. She can boat those mediums reasonably well. She's fast enough to get herself into some nasty little fights, and the SRM's a nice little backup for a punch, but yeah, I'm not really sure. The Inner Sphere is best when the Inner Sphere makes mechs that suit them. Trying to make a mech that acts more like a clan mech for an Inner Sphere pilot, I don't know. I really don't know.
That's a very good point, yes. The Inner Sphere has always worked best when it's working within its own field of expertise, and there we go. A classic example there. Taken out by a clan mech. And as we can see, we jump to the end of the round for the match score.
And what are the scores on the doors for this one?
200 damage, so
that's a lot of damage for a relatively short
100
fight.
On the match score, no kills but a win. 20 points in total.
Wow. And here we have another classic of the old Star League era. It's the Spider, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, a classic of the Star League, being built for special operations units, I believe.
Ooh, special operations.
Yeah, recon units that entire military operations have been dedicated toward just grabbing spare parts, the odd leg, a hand, maybe some internal structure here and there. It's kind of shocking the number of lives that have been sacrificed to keep this mech in peak operating efficiency.
Well, the thing with the Spider is that she has a number of very difficult to obtain parts. That strange lattice system on the front of the mech is actually part of its sensor system, and so once that's gone, they're very, very difficult to replace. But the Spider also obviously has the fact that she looks quite sort of weak. I mean, those spindly arms, those spindly legs, she really does rely on that speed, and speed she has got. My God, she is fast. She can outjump, well, probably even the Hulk over the largest building. She is got everything when it comes to speed, but when it comes to weaponry,
Yeah, a little bit lacking in the firepower department, and this seems to have been a trend for Spiders ever since, really. Even after Free Worlds League and the Curitans managed to revive the design after centuries of nearly going extinct, essentially. 2 medium lasers in the CT. It's not much.
yeah, I mean, yes, she can stay on the battlefield, yes, she can be involved in pretty prolonged skirmishes, but that armour, she really does have to rely on hit and run tactics more than perhaps even the Javelin. She really is... she's great at what she does, and that's spotting enemies and keeping them moving. I mean, as we seem to be doing here, Rocket seems to be just using that speed to his advantage, but can he actually deliver any damage?
I'm not really sure if he can. I mean, if he keeps it... Oh, hang on.
Oh.
I think they've spotted him.
Oh.
It's not going... Oh, he's already taking multiple hits.
Now, can that speed...
Oh,
I don't know.
Point blank hit.
You see, this is where that light armour,
missiles.
the speed is the only thing he's got going for him, because
He's got no power.
They know he hasn't got any weaponry to be afraid of. Even a Locust isn't too bothered.
He's lost a leg. He's finished.
Oh, that's it.
It's over.
Once that speed's gone...
Oh, that's...
Well, that was short.
That was short, and...
Are there scores on the doors?
19 damage does not qualify, but... Looking at it, Eddie... I think what we saw there was a great example of the Spider basically halving the team. He divided them. He dragged them away.
Wait. What are we doing here? The match is over. He's done.
But if you see here, you can see that the enemy team have diverted. They saw the Spider, and too many of them went after him. I would say, actually, in a rare occasion, I don't even know Rocket really realised that he did this, he drew half the enemy team away, and it's resulted in a victory for his team. And I think for that reason, the Spider deserves an extra 10 bonus points on top of the 5 for winning.
extra 10 bonus points.
Yeah.
So your argument is that because the spider can't really fight, and because she can't really take much of a beating, the one thing she can do is run around like a crazed nut until someone notices her and runs after her?
In this case, 6 crazed nuts ran after them, and they all died for it.
Wow. You know what? Maybe she does deserve those 10 points after all.
I'd say so. And here we are with the Urban Mech.
It's the Urban Mech, everybody, and this is... I mean, when you talk classics, the Urban Mech really is it. It's one of the cheapest mechs out there, which means you can find it in basically everywhere. The Inner Sphere, the Periphery, hell, even those scumbag slaving pirates pilot them. I mean, this really is one of the cheapest, most durable mechs out there. It's the Urban Mech.
Durable? It's horrendous. It's slow. It has barely enough ammunition to keep itself going long enough. It can't jump very far. It's ridiculous. I don't know why they made this. It can't go anywhere quickly. Look at this. This is not slow motion, folks. This is really how fast this thing moves.
When I said durable, what I obviously meant to those in the know who were watching is I meant durable in as fact as this is a mech you just find everywhere and anywhere. It can be in the front lines of a house curator, or it can be a guard post out in, let's say, the...
Front lines of house curator? Where are we talking about exactly here?
The Urban Mech is a classic and known for its combat prowess in the urban centres in which it finds itself. I mean, yes, I agree, she's slow, but look at where she is. This is not an urban centre. This is out in the middle of nowhere, and yet
Eddie,
she's
I know.
Still giving it her all.
I know that this was one of the first mechs that you managed to get hold of, as you say, because it's cheap, and when you get hold of one that's virtually broken in every possible way, it's even cheaper. And you've been spending a long time. You were very proud, I know, when you finally fixed it up and got it working again. But it really isn't a good mech, and the fact that you're rooting for it to win here, just like it did in the drag race, is not going to end well for you, Eddie.
Look, this isn't the drag race now. We're in a very different situation. The Urban Mech, if it chooses its targets, stays with the other big boys, can actually rain down some pretty impressive damage.
Misguided as always, Eddie. Continental Drift is quicker than this thing. I think even an Annihilator is quicker than this. Am I correct there? It's truly awful. It's terrible, it's rubbish, and it's stupid. And I don't know why. It shouldn't even really be in the testing cycle. I don't know why the boffins put this one on the list.
Look, there are pilots out there who have stayed in the Urban Mech rather than take the chance of moving up to something faster or bigger.
Purely to avoid dispossession? Not because they wanted to pilot. There's not a single mech out there, except maybe for yourself, Eddie, who would ever want to be in an Urban Mech.
That 360 turn really means that you can't just be snuck up on. You're always aware of your surroundings. It really does give you quite a nice little advantage. It makes up for that slow speed. And look at the damage he's outputting here. Even Rocket is making this mech look good. He's still in the fight. And several aren't.
He's hiding behind a wall. As you can see, the simulator's broken. Half the rounds are hitting an invisible wall. The only reason he's still alive is purely because of the ineptitude of the programming, the ineptitude of the AI on the other team, and Rocket's own dumb luck.
Then explain to me why these things are literally everywhere.
Because people like you develop some kind of bizarre fascination with them, with how terrible they are.
It's an enduring design that is found anywhere you can imagine.
An enduring design is something like the Wasp, or the Stinger, or the Locust, or the Valkyrie. Something that's got a little bit more...
Or the Urban Mech.
It's a truly bizarre infatuation you have here with one of the worst, if not the worst mech ever designed. And we're talking about things in a world where the Imp exists.
She uses a lot of easily obtained standard parts, and a lot of other parts can easily be, well, with a little tinkering, made to work. Her leg actuators are relatively slow but stable, and therefore most parts can be put into use. She doesn't really need arm actuators. That's obviously clear.
Well, it's just because
She's
it's
a simple design.
You
that
wind
does
it up on the back to power it up, and away it goes.
She does exactly what it says on the tin.
It's a child's toy of a machine.
We're coming to the end of the match. She's still going. She's taken a beating, but she's delivered a beating too.
Virtually zero contribution of Rocket. It was entirely his team.
The urban mech may not get kills, but it enables others to get kills. And it did its job. It defended a spot and kept the enemy guessing. Urban mech is, in my opinion, an excellent, excellent design. And it's going to continue being used for years to come, even with your la-di-da clan tech. It's still going to be there.
I'll give it to you, Eddie, that in this case, it managed to survive through sheer dumb luck. But when it comes up next, in the Grand Melee, it will definitely not survive. I call it now. It's going to be the first thing that dies in that match.
It's slow, but it'll stick. It'll stay in there,
and
she'll cause damage. And I'm still with the Irby.
25 points for anyone who cares. As we roll over to the standings here. Then we roll over to the extremely slow-moving standings. Have to
scores on the doors.
Try and fix that. Joint first and joint third.
Wow.
It's surprising. Incubus and Javelin there with the Kit Fox and the Urban Mech fighting for third. Spider wedged in the second, all to play for them. The Osiris at 20. And the Arctic Cheetah languishing down there in bottom, technically 7th. As we're going to roll over now to the final. The Grand Melee.
Well, it's still all to play for, especially for the Urban Mech.
How you think this thing is going to win, I don't rightly understand.
Well, we're straight into it, and there is just...
We've got 7 of the meanest killers from the streets of Solaris City, backed up by Mr. Big, the executioner there, as you can see on the hill. He's overseeing the proceedings, making sure that everything is above board.
Umpire. You could say, our umpire.
Indeed. And the fight is hectic.
It certainly is. There's just gunfire. There are lasers. There are SRMs. There are missiles. There are machine guns. There's everything there.
There's even flamers in there.
There's everything bar the kitchen sink being thrown. I'm surprised no one's gone down yet.
It's surprising considering just how frail Rocket made these mechs look, and here they are, running around in the crucible of destruction. We do have, I'd like to point out that the system that we were running this on did have its moments and did appear to have some technical difficulties, but luckily it did come out all right.
Well, Clantech is... Clantech, what am I saying? The Starleague tech is a little old now, so, she will slow down occasionally.
Boffin's having to give a bit of a whack with a hammer occasionally.
Yeah, that generally seems to sort her out.
Generally.
But, oh my god... Still, nobody's gone down, and they are just lashing damage in here. Everyone is just right in the thick of it.
It's surprising, actually, how long this has gone on for. Everybody really is... I think they're just generally spreading the damage, targets of opportunity, whatever drifts in front of them. I mean, these killers that we've hired from the mean streets of Solaris, they aren't the most tactically minded bunch. Basically, if it's in front of them, it has a pulse, and they've got weapons available, they'll just pull the trigger.
But they've got no fear. Just look at them, just throwing themselves in there. This is absolutely exactly what you want from this situation. You want to see what these mechs can really do, and we're seeing it. There's no, he's good at targeting at range, or he's good at being able to be sneaky on the battlefield, or he sets himself up so that he can make a sudden surprise attack on a slow mover. They're all just right there in the dirt, blasting each other to pieces.
Well, all of them are hungry fighters, because we've promised them a sandwich.
Well, there you go.
And how is the Urban Mech still alive in this scenario? I just don't understand it.
That's because my colleague, she's an excellent mech. That's why,
she's smoking there.
She stands the test of time. These mechs are throwing themselves around like some kind of mad, insane, axe-wielding ballerina, and yet she's still there, fighting, holding her own, and taking down... Well, not taking anyone down at the moment, but taking numbers.
We've had 2 losses. At the moment, I can't believe it, but the Osiris has been downed. Although that's not really shocking in the end.
Yeah,
but the Javelin, I'm really surprised at the Javelin being destroyed at this point in the match.
Really? The Javelin hasn't had...
The Javelin has hit the floor, unfortunately. You can see its jump jets firing away there as it lies face down in the dust.
Wow.
Although, however, that doesn't give it a minus on points. The Osiris has lost 10 points from its standings, which doesn't help it in the long run.
First down.
First down.
First down.
Minus 10 points, that's the rules
First down.
of the Grand Melian Best in Class.
But I will point out something who isn't down, and that's the Urban Mech. She's still in there. She's still battling away.
Come on, what is it with you
Pinging
people?
With a small laser and shooting out absolute devastation with that AC-10.
This walking Nutra-Bullets.
The little mech that could.
Still alive and kicking. I don't understand it. Have you paid these killers off? And
These
there goes
are-
another one. Another one's down now. The Kit Fox.
Wow. Okay. Another great mech that's gone down. But I'll tell you what mech hasn't yet gone down. That's the Urban Mech. She's still in there.
Absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe this is still the case.
Look at these guys, toe to toe. They have absolutely no fear, ladies and gentlemen. These really are hungry mech warriors. We weren't lying about that.
With the Incubus down now, it's getting down to the wire. With the Spider has surprisingly gained points now as we've gone along.
Look at the Urban Mech.
The Urban Mech.
Majestic.
It's won. How? What's going on? Right, well, Mr. Big the Executioner's going to have to get involved in this. Yes, finish this. This is ridiculous. Somehow, the Urban Mech gains 15 bonus points.
Well, that's really going to have an effect on the scores.
And so there it is, the final standings of the evening. As joint first, the Incubus and Javelin, followed by the Urban Mech with the Spider, Kit Fox, Arctic Cheetah, and Osiris.
Well, we've seen that the Javelin really is quite the mech when it's up there with the Incubus. And, of course, the Spider, proving why some people fought to their deaths to get it back. And the Urby, the true king of the battlefield.
Well, on that long tom, I'll leave it there. Thanks for joining, everyone. I'll see you next time. Good night. And that's episode 3 of Best in Class finished and done, and the names here are everybody who helped out with this episode. I'd like to say a big thank you to those people listed on the screen, and future episodes I'm probably going to need more people in some occasions, and getting more of these done and dusted. But I hope you enjoy these. We're going to be trying a few of editing techniques and stuff as we go along, but until then, hope you enjoyed that. Have a good one all. Bye.